Before we present the Simon Benson Award to Arlene and Jordan Schnitzer, we have a close friend of hers here with us this evening who wants to say a few words about Arlene and Jordan. So please join me in welcoming the senior senator from Oregon, U.S. Senator Ron Wyden.
I was actually asked to give a generous introduction of Jordan, and that usually means in the Senate that you take about an hour or so, and it's really fun. And he thinks I'm serious. That must be Phil over there. Phil Knight must think I'm serious. I'm going to be really short. I want you to know a little bit why. As you know, healthcare is very much in the news these days, and I was home and talking to a big group of senior citizens about health care and all the changes in the Affordable Care Act. When I was done, they all came running up and said, "Ron, you're just a fabulous speaker. What a great talk you've given tonight. And we want all your remarks written up in the press." They went on and on. I was so brilliant. It was so important. The press just had to write it up. And I knew I hadn't said anything that was any great shakes, and I thought I ought to try to wrap this up and bring it to an end. I said to the seniors, well, folks, maybe the press will write up what I have to say someday. You know, they'll write up my remarks posthumously. And this really sweet senior citizen jumps right up and says, gee, Ron, I hope that's really, really soon. So you're going to get a short introduction here tonight. I do want to note for the record, this is the second recent instance when I've had the privilege of introducing Jordan Schnitzer at an award dinner. I'm a little bit unclear how many awards Jordan is actually eligible for, but I know we've got scores of community organizations out there. I want you to know I've taken a good look at the upcoming Senate schedule, and I can work it out. I'll be there for you when you need to have your own evening. Now, this award, the Simon Benson Award, goes and is quoted as an award for tireless community leaders who give generously of time and resources. Add to that a practical bionic capability for attending meetings from morning to night without falling comatose, and that pretty much defines Jordan. He is more than a successful business guy and art collector. He is a philanthropist, the first to volunteer, a peerless fundraiser, and if you can believe it, he has been on more than 30 boards in our community. We're talking, folks, about the Babe Ruth of community service. Jordan's interests, as you probably know, are a little bit eclectic. He knows as much about Andy Warhol's art as he does about the advantages of light rail. His name adorns so many good works that he runs the risk of being misidentified as the chairman of the Senate Appropriations Committee. Oregon landmarks, like the Astoria column, have benefited from his work, as have Native American tribes like the Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla. Everybody from seniors to elementary school kids knows that Jordan cares about our community. I can tell you I met him almost 40 years ago when I had a full head of hair and rugged good looks and all that. And the late Shirley Tanzer asked us to go to a senior citizen center and deliver cake. And I noted that the room is just full of candidates and elected officials. And I just want to say, if you're out to find the booby vote at a senior citizen center, go with Jordan. They love him there. Before I get accused of making this a filibuster, I just want to let you know that I think there are a handful of people in a state full of citizens who care, who want to give, who want to help. They're a handful who always manage to get the rest of us involved. I call them vintage Oregonians. That describes my friend Jordan Schnitzer. Let's give him a big, big round of applause. For years and years, I can't hear you, everybody. I can't hear it. That's a little better. Jordan Schnitzer.
Thank you very much, Senator, and thank you for all the great service you do for the state in these very tough political times. And I'm also delighted, of course, to recognize Arlene, who could not join us tonight, as well as her late husband, Harold Schnitzer, for this family legacy of significant philanthropic contributions. You know, since 1950, Arlene has served as the co-owner of Harsh Investment Corporation, the company that Harold started more than 60 years ago. And we all know her as an amazingly passionate advocate for the vital role that the arts play in a city. She founded, in 1961, one of the city's first galleries that really put Portland on the map as a center for artistic activity. Now, Jordan, as many of you know, graduated from Lewis and Clark's Law School, Northwestern School of Law, and he began to work in the family company in 1976, and he's now president of Harsh Investment, 6 regional offices, over 200 employees. And as mentioned, he's served on many boards. Here at PSU, he's been involved in our Center for Judaic Studies, which has been funded significantly by the Arlene and Harold Schnitzer Care Foundation. And Jordan has also been a great supporter of our Center for Real Estate. And for many years, the Schnitzer family has supported our School of Fine and Performing Arts. I'm deeply grateful for this family support, and now please join me and recognize their contributions as we play this short video.
As long as I can remember, the goal, Harold's goal, was to be able to establish a foundation and to do, as I said in his words, noble good. And it was in his upbringing, as it was in mine. We're Jewish, and inherent in Judaism is, of course, charity.
It's the cultural feature of our community which has made living in Portland so attractive to so many young people across the country.
The obligation is on all of us in the private sector. Okay, if it's mission critical to have scholarship funds at Portland State so there's not one student that can't attend, then that obligation is on all of us to help do what private universities have had to do since their inception. And that is give back to those quality institutions like Portland State so they can build and thrive and offer the opportunity to every young person that wants to go there.
Jordan has a great appreciation of what creativity and art making can bring to a child's life as well as an adult's life. It is learning a process of creative thinking. Whether the person is a child or an adult, that person can then transfer that to anything that they're doing in their lives.
He sees it not only as kind of an admiration for the artist themselves, the creator, the abilities of that person to create an object that draws his emotions out, but he also is very, very dedicated to providing access to kids to art and how it can transform their lives as it did his life.
Arlene and her family have made a major impact in many aspects of this institution. I've had the good fortune of being able to work with Arlene very closely during the development of OHSU's Center for Women's Health, as well as Harold Schnitzer Diabetes Health Center. I think the source is a burning and compelling belief that one should give back. It's giving back is a passion for Arlene.
It feels like I've never not known Arlene. She has been an incredible mentor to me on numerous ways and numerous occasions, and it's not unlike her to pick up the phone and tell me I need to look into something, and thinking, oh, I don't have time to do that, and then it becomes my life.
And I'm very proud of Portland State. I've watched it grow since it was Vanport. And to watch it develop and grow, to have known all the presidents that have come along the pike, has really been a great thrill for me. And so I attended a few classes there, so I'm very proud to see what has happened and what it means to our community.
The key is providing more scholarship funds so there isn't one child left behind. Okay? So there isn't one child that wants to go to Portland State, one young person that can't, through scholarship programs, afford to go there. The education of our young people is the single most important factor towards the success of this country in the future. And the future is amazing. The plans to add several thousand more residential units, the new academic buildings, and recently the announced new Viking Pavilion will just offer so much more to all of us in the metropolitan area. So on behalf of my mother, my late father, and myself, thank you, Portland State, for honoring us with the Simon Benson Award. And go Vikes!
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming and accepting the award on behalf of himself and his wonderful parents, Jordan Schnitzer.
On behalf of my mother, who wished she could be here, she had some pain in her leg, and we were faced with a choice several weeks ago about whether to get the operation done 2 weeks ago in Los Angeles or be here. And I said, Mom, you're either going to be in pain for a couple of weeks or you're going to be out of pain but sick about not being here. And when I called her on the way over here, and she was so sad she wasn't here, she started crying. She probably raised hell for my telling you that. But she wishes she could be here, and she's going to be home this weekend and back up to shape and involved with so many things. And again, on behalf of my late father, it's a real connection for us. My grandfather, Sam Schnitzer, came over in 1905, and he had an 8th grade education, and he and my grandmother made sure that all 7 of their children went to college. And what's coming full circle, just like in Travis's situation, my father and his 4 other brothers and 2 sisters went to Shattuck Grade School and Lincoln High School, which the building is part of now, Portland State. So on behalf of my late father and mother, we're also honored to have this award. Vim, your comments, as I've said before, I've been fortunate to have known the last half dozen presidents, and while they've all kept building forward Portland State, you are absolutely the best, and we're so lucky to have you, so thank you. And I think it also shows the kind of statewide support we're having to have Mike Godfredson and his wife Carol here from U of O, and John Kroger and his wife Michelle, who works at Portland State, who just was inaugurated to be the president of Reed, also here. And I think it's neat for those of us who really take an ecumenical view about education in the state in total to have us all together instead of trying to compete with each other. So thank you both for coming. And my old friend Ron Wyden, again, we were talking, our friendship goes back 40 years, and again, you've done just such a wonderful job of breaking through this partisan issue that I think we all are so frustrated about with the lack of progress in Washington. So thanks for taking the time to come tonight. And I also need to tip of the hat to Earl Blumenauer, who's here, because I met Earl when he was 19 and I was 18. And he was working for Greg Wolf, then president of Portland State. So nice of you to come tonight too, Earl. Both of you. And then quickly to the fellow honorees, I think Travis, knowing what it's like to live a bit under the shadow of a pretty successful father, I tell you, you're doing a heck of a job and just hitting it out of the park, and your comments scared all of us speakers after you, so congratulations. And Irving, I remember it seems like yesterday when you first moved up here from San Francisco, and this community is just so fortunate that you did. And it's wonderful what you and Stephanie have done since, and just a real admiration, and you do it so quietly and with such humility. You're just a real star in the community, both of you, and it's so nice that Portland State is recognizing it, and you let them recognize you because you need to be counted. Others need to know the tremendous job that you're doing. So a tip of the hat to you. Now, certainly we don't have time for me to go on with my, I think, biggest concern right now that I think so many of you in the audience have too, and that is there are two things that keep me up at night. Certainly, I'm concerned about my business, and this has been one of the toughest recessions ever, but we're coming out of it, and I'm so proud with a number of our staff that are here tonight, and I'm so lucky to work with such wonderful folks in our real estate business. But the biggest concerns I have are twofold. One is, as I just mentioned about Ron being the example of what to do, is this paralysis we see in our political system today, and that's a whole other topic. The second issue, which is relevant right now, is I'm concerned, like I know most of you are, if not all of you, about how if we look back at the last 20 years, this country is becoming one of more of have and have-nots. We've not seen any real personal income growth in the middle class in 20 years. And what has made a difference to this country, I think what's let it shine and have 200 years of growth, is the hope and dreams that everyone has for a better day tomorrow. For parents to work hard, know that their kids can advance. For young people to know that with the right education, they have a chance as much as the next fellow or gal to follow their dreams. And we're seeing that attack today. Now, we can't blame the colleges and universities. While certainly, like every business, they can always operate more efficiently. But when we're sitting with our salaries of professors in this state, number 44 nationally, it's the biggest cost of running the universities and colleges is salaries. So it's certainly not that we need to end up having the colleges and universities cut back their costs so they can offer cheaper education when our professors are not being paid the decent wages they should be paid. The issue is, the only way this wonderful experiment called democracy is going to survive is if we continue to give every young person in this country the chance to have that dream, to have that goal, to know that they can get education. You look at those statistics of those who have college education versus those that don't in terms of the employment and unemployment, and it is dramatic. You don't need better statistics than that one factor. Now, the fact is, when I went to the University of Oregon and my tuition was $172 a quarter, that was a heck of a bargain. But as we know now, U of O's down to 7% state funding. I think Portland State is about 12, Oregon State's about 9, and there aren't going to be those dollars again. So we can't keep beating up on the state because there are too many needs for funding for social services, elderly, early childhood education, a number of things. There just aren't the dollars there. So the reality is that if you care about this country and you care about it surviving, then we all have to reach in and make those contributions to the public universities. Okay, the private universities have been doing this for years. If you look at the top 6 endowments, Harvard, Yale, Harvard's at $30 billion. They had to survive by their wits and reaching out to the private sector and their alums years ago. But the strength of the education system in this country is the public universities. And the only way they're going to survive, let alone thrive, is if all of us reach in and continue to build up these endowments and build up these scholarship funds like Stephanie and Irving had done, and the Mabel Clark McDonald, and all of you are here tonight. So that's my pitch. When you stand back and think about it, this is as big a national crisis as we've ever faced. The burden of students graduating with the kind of debt they have today is unconscionable. And the only way that young people will be able to get the education they need is if we reach in and fund scholarship funds and build up endowment. So thanks for listening to that, and then I need to talk about 2 young people real quickly, and the first is my daughter, Audrey, who's 13 over there, and she picked out this wonderful tie that I'm wearing, so thank you, Audrey. Okay? And the last one is someone who's not here, and she's 8 years old, and her name is Avery Hutchins. And her mother, Deborah, is the one who probably called every single person here and helped increase the take this year from the $600,000 they had last year to over $1 million. What was the total? Deborah, where are you? What was the total this year? $1 million what? $1 million plus. So that's a tremendous tip of the hat. Okay, a fabulous job to you and all the development people at Portland State. And I know how hard you work, because those text messages and calls on Sunday evening about, do you know this person and what do you think, and do you know this person on Wednesday morning and Saturday afternoons and whatever, you just did a heck of a job. And as I said, the development department here is really getting on the ball and doing what needs to be done. So in terms of all of us in this room, even though you may think we don't want to take those calls, we all need to be able to do what we can. So the whole development department at PSU, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for that $1 million fundraising opportunity. So thank you again for honoring us with this award. My mother will be back, and again, she told me to thank every single one of you for coming out tonight. Bottom of our hearts, we're very humbled by this and appreciate your honoring us. Thank you.